Welcome back inside the Now Morning Show. Now, as we are in the thick of the carnival season, we want to make sure that you stay as safe as possible. That also means protecting your hearing this carnival. I want to welcome to the show via Zoom Dr. Amanda Piper, audiologist with the Trinidad and Tobago Association for the Hearing Impaired, and Nicholas Cumberbatch, the president of the Trinidad and Tobago Association for the Hearing Impaired. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for being with us this morning. Now, let me start with you, Dr. Piper. Basic question as we enter the season properly, how loud is too loud?
So I will tell you truthfully, most of Trinidad is not going to appreciate me very much this morning, but many of the carnival festivities are too loud, dangerously loud, in fact. So if you think about the occupational health and safety, they have guidelines for permissible exposure limits for noise. So that's basically how long can you safely listen in an environment before it causes damage to the auditory system.
Mm-hmm.
So if sounds are around 85 decibels, you can listen in that environment for up to about 4 to 5 hours. That's like a weed whacker, around 85 decibels.
Wow.
95 decibels, which honestly is the level of a lot of parties, nightclubs. You are allowed to safely listen in that environment for 1 hour. 1 hour. And then when we get up to 100, 105 decibels, which is pretty close to many FETs, especially if you're close to these speaker systems, the permissible safe listening limit is minutes, less than 10 minutes actually. So, just to give you some realistic context, if you are in very loud, noisy environments, there is a time sensitivity as to how the duration of exposure, how long you can safely listen in that environment before it causes damage.
Now, just to be clear on this, right, Dr. Piper? These guidelines are given to Trinbagonians, or this is like international rules that we're trying to follow?
Both. We have a local body governing occupational safety and health, and
And they
we
agree with
pretty
this.
much follow international best practices.
Right, right. I just think that sometimes with evolution we might have been able to our ears might be a little different because we take in that loud noise for 2 days straight, sometimes at weeks at a time. But let me bring you into the conversation, Mr. Cumberbatch. Can you break down for us
Hi.
exactly how the loud noises impact our hearing, especially if we stay over the time limit that Dr. Piper would have mentioned just now?
Actually, I think Dr. Piper is the right person to answer that.
I can.
All right, Dr. Piper, go ahead.
So, so essentially, if the inner ear, the cochlea, is bombarded and overstimulated by noise repeatedly, right? So this is occasion after occasion. What can happen? The tiny cells inside of the cochlea can get weaker and weaker, and they eventually die. And that's what we term clinically as some degree of hearing loss. Right. So when these cells inside of the cochlea they die, they do not spontaneously heal. They don't recover, and so there is no medicine, pill, syrup, ginkgo biloba, bush tea that I can give you to help restore the hearing at the level of the cochlea. Once there's damage at, at the inner ear, it is permanent and it is irreversible.
So not even Bush Tea Gill, nothing saving us this wrongs. Mr. Cumberbatch, how can we protect ourselves
Yeah.
from some of this hearing loss?
Well, as far as I know, as a matter of fact, listening to all of this just triggered something in me that I wonder if people who, let's say, steel band men who are exposed to steel band all during carnival time preparing and stuff, I wonder if they go for hearing testing after carnival, what would happen.
Hmm.
Because, and we take these things for granted.
Yeah.
And that is why we're here, because we're here to inform the public that, we need to be aware of the fact that noise could damage your hearing. Now, how do you deal with that? One of the things that we promote is wearing earplugs, right? Earplugs during carnival time. Or if you have some other way of shielding your ear, from the noise, the intense noise. Because think about it. You're playing mass and you're close to the big speakers. You know how much damage is being done to your ear? A lot of damage. I mean, we're not saying that you shouldn't enjoy your carnival. Certainly, you could enjoy your carnival. But keep in mind that while enjoying your carnival, you may be damaging your hearing. And a lot of people that we see, a lot of people in Trinidad, well, kids are born deaf due to certain diseases and stuff. But a great percentage of people that we are seeing are actually people who have damaged hearing, or as we say, hearing impairment, or have lost their hearing. So that is why we are saying to the public, pay attention to your hearing health, not just at carnival time, but throughout the year.
How often should we get our hearing tested?
Well, I would say maybe Dr. Piper could help me here.
So if you have challenges or difficulties, especially, and persons would know, they're listening to the TV at a very loud volume, right? They often need repetition of instructions, verbal commands. They have difficulty hearing on the telephone or listening to the radio. So there are lots of little signs that together may indicate that your hearing might be decreasing. Also, if you have ringing, chirping, buzzing, strange sounds in the air, that can be a sign of some degree of hearing loss. So if you're experiencing strain and very effortful listening, I would say it would be worth checking your hearing. And for a healthy young adult, it would not be necessary unless, again, there are concerns. But when we get into the older population, we generally encourage doing hearing tests every 2 years. So this would be like our patients over 60 mostly.
Now, Dr. Piper, people who might be concerned about, post festivities and celebration, what are some of these signs? I mean, you mentioned a little bit of them just now, but what are some of the first signs that you can say of the things that happen when you mentioned, I don't want to mispronounce the word, the cornea,
cochlea, the inner ear.
The inner ear.
Yeah.
When those cells die, what are some of the first things that happen from not from a medical perspective, but what do we lose in our hearing? Do we lose some of the higher things that we can hear, some of the bass that we can hear?
Sure.
What do we lose exactly?
So sound initially, after the onset of intense noise exposure, sound becomes a little more dull. It's not as loud, not as clear, not as crisp. You might experience some just fullness within the air, feeling like you are being muffled almost, or you're hearing very muffled speech. You can also experience tinnitus. So that's that ringing sensation.
Yes.
It's actually a phantom sound generated by the hearing nerve. And that's kind of our nerve's way of telling us, woo, hello, I have been hurt, I have been damaged. It's the SOS call from the nerve when we start to get that ringing in the air. That's the nerve saying, help me, help me, help me, please.
Well,
so
then, Dr. Piper, I think we're all in a bad way then, because I think every single Trinbagonian who's been to an event has had that ringing sound as they leave the event. I think so.
But truthfully, the concern is how long we're in those environments. And so in addition to wearing earplugs, which I absolutely adore, I have some, I keep them in my purse. Right? So I have an earplug. And we have different colors at the Trinidad and Tobago Association for the Hearing Impaired. So you can get pink, green, yellow, orange, you pick your color, your flavor. But these earplugs attenuate sound about 30 or 40 decibels. So it brings the volume down to a safe listening level.
Okay.
Right? So earplugs are fantastic. And then just using good common sense. Do not stand anywhere near the speakers. Keep your distance from music trucks and speakers as much as you possibly can.
All right. Well, let me thank you both for joining us this morning.
Can I add something?
Go ahead,
just one thing?
Go ahead.
Okay. During Carnival, Monday and Tuesday, the organization, we are running a car park in outside our building, and we are going to be giving away free earplugs for people who are parking there.
Where's the building?
So it's called the Dretchy Compound. It's on the entrance to the port off Ryson Road,
Yep.
between licensing and UTT, right? So
All
we
right.
have we are running a fundraiser for the car park, and it's $100 from 7 a.m. all day, and on a first come first serve basis, people who are parking get free earplugs.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you both for joining us this morning, and we look forward to you giving out the earplugs for people who park in by Dretchy. And enjoy your carnival.
Right.
Be safe, and thank you so much for
Good.
joining us. I hope we could have a further conversation about hearing
yes.
and protecting your hearing
Yeah,
as well.
definitely.
Yeah. Take care.
Definitely. Thanks for